This is the Barbecue Central Radio Show, which is recorded live each Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Barbecue Central Radio Show is being brought to you by The Barbecue Guru, the original creators of automatic temperature control devices, now offering 4 different models for you to choose from. Rest easy knowing that The Barbecue Guru is controlling your temperature so you can get on with your life. Visit bbqguru.com or call 800-288-GURU for more information. And by Fred's Music and Tasty Licks BBQ Supply, your online barbecue and grilling superstore. From cookers to grills, wood chips and chunks, and everything in between. Also be sure to try the Tasty Licks barbecue brand of rubs and sauces. Check Fred out online at tastylicksbbq.com. And by Stephen DeFranco Jewelers. Located in beautiful Willoughby, Ohio, Stephen DeFranco Jewelers is a family-owned and operated business looking to service the great folks of the barbecue and grilling world. Get free shipping and big discounts by mentioning my name and the term Barbecue Brother. Check out their inventory by visiting StephenDeFranco.com. And by Butcher Barbecue, with 30 years of experience in retail, wholesale, meat markets, food service, and customer service. Using that experience, everything they do and sell at Butcher's Barbecue comes from real-world knowledge. Check out their award-winning spices, sauces, marinades, and injections by visiting ButcherBBQ.com. Always trust your butcher. And by Green Mountain Grills. Discover something you'll really, really love. Grilling with pellets. Green Mountain pellet grills are the top of the line, best of the best, but not the highest in price. And be sure to check out all of their flavor rubs, sauces, and pellets for the Green Mountain Grill, all on their website. Visit greenmountaingrills.com to peruse the entire products portfolio. And by Barbecuer's Delight Wood Pellets. 2/3 oak, 1/3 flavor wood, giving you that perfect combination of BTU burn and sweet, succulent smoke you're looking to get all over your meat. A wide variety of flavors, so please go to the website to check it out and get yours today. Barbecuer's Delight, which is bbqrsdelight.com.
This is Brian Mayer, host of Hot Sauce Weekly, and you are listening to BCRN, all barbecue and grilling all the time.
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Ooh, should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to a live Barbecue Central show. It's the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling, broadcasting live from the hurricane-staved state, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city and barbecue capital of the North Coast, Cleveland, Ohio. Happy to have you aboard. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. It is your Tuesday live fire cooking and grilling show. 2 ways to get in touch with the show if you want to do it. 877-448-0433. You can also email the show if you want to. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Those are the 2 ways to get in touch with the show. And a big one, so if you aren't familiar with what exactly is going down, here's what's happening. By the way, if you want to find out anything else about the show, you can just hit the website, thebbqcentralshow.com. Coming up at 14 past the hour, Dan Hickson from Three Eyes Barbecue will join me. Coming up at 35 past 9 o'clock, Derek Riches from About.com. And then we move into the second hour. Mike McLeod from MMA Marketing is going to talk about the Word, and the World Food Championships. Also rounding out the show at 35 past 10, Dave Bosca, Butcher Barbecue. That's right, beard gone, cleanly shaven. Glad you noticed, Don. And cleanly shaven thanks to the Dollar Shave Club. You get on board with that? You're a fool if you don't. So there you go. Dan Hickson, Derek Riches, Mike McLeod, Dave Bosca. And that's where we're at for who's going to be on the show tonight. Quickly, Survey Tuesday questions. frog in my throat. I feel like I haven't done this like in a week. When we talk about barbecue competitions, there's a certain number that kind of rise above and really capture the imagination, if you will. So if you follow it or if you're a competitor, what would you rather win? The American Royal Open, the American Royal Invitational, the Jack, or this new one that just took place this past weekend, the World Food Championships. Now, the WFC obviously not nearly as entrenched with the time behind it, I guess the revelry and the prestige that some of these other ones have. But of those four, what would you like? The American Royal Open, Invitational, the Jack, or I'm going to have trouble with that now, World Food Championships. Question number 2. And this might be more for the East Coasters and middle of the country folks. How's everyone after the hurricane, a week removed? How's my East Coast folks doing? East Coast, hold it down. Stay tough now. Question number 3. If you could only cook on one cooker, if you're like me, it's almost like Sophie's Choice. But if you could only cook on one cooker, what would it be? Those are your Survey Tuesday questions. We'll get them back again, top of the second hour. Did you vote today? Gang, breaking news. Did you know there was an election today? Evidently there's a presidential election. Look, I don't care who you voted for today. I just hope you actually took the time to do it. There's a lot of people out there over the course of centuries that gave their lives for what we have and what we're actually able to do today. But look, what I experienced today at the voting booth affirms my belief that the voting process, as in the way we are checked in and the ballots and how they're distributed and so on, broke into the core. Is there no way in this day and age of technology and security that there isn't a better, more efficient, and more secure way to cast my vote for what really is the most important thing we do each and every 4 years? Is there no better way that we could possibly do this? I don't have a solution. Typically, I'm not the guy who bitches about stuff and then has no solution to offer up, but Jesus Christ, that was a damn joke today. I can't imagine it was much different for most of you. So when there ends up being an inquiry on votes or so many hundreds of votes or thousands or hundreds of thousands of votes are thrown out because of mishandling, it's not going to surprise me. There just has to be a better way. There has to be a better way to get this voting process done in a timely fashion and without the friggin' old... Look, I got nothing against old people. I'm going to be there someday, sooner than later, unfortunately. But the checking in process, and people don't know how... You're checked in by last name, not first name. Paper balloting. I just can't believe we are still tied down to this archaic voting process. Do I love the process itself and the democracy and all of that stuff, the symbolism? Absolutely. Is the process a most ridiculous, archaic, mind-boggling, almost sham? Absolutely it is.
Get that free stuff out of here.
I saw it firsthand. Oh, my God. All right, quick recap of what happened last week. Much to my surprise, the hurricane actually came up into Ohio, at least where we were, and took out our power. We were without power Monday night, all the way through late Friday night. So that's why there was no show. And look, we weren't in anywhere near of a mishandling or a terrible situation like it was over on the East Coast. So I'm thankful for it was just power. I can replace a refrigerator full of food, no problem. I can replace the freezer full of food, no problem. Thankful everybody was safe. But look, if you were involved in it, I hope you're getting along all right, especially if you're still without power, your house got caved in. I just got some late emails from David over on the East Coast, and his car got collapsed in on. And luckily, the Weber Smoky Mountain made it, though, David, all right? So if we're looking for the silver linings. Jim Shaheen, who appears on this show frequently wrote a great article about Operation Barbecue Relief and their efforts post-Sandy in the Washington Post today. I don't know if you were able to check that out. If you have a chance, go read. It's under the Smoke Signals blog, WashingtonPost.com. I think if you go over to like food, or you can find them somehow, some way. But go ahead and read what he wrote about Operation Barbecue Relief. I know he's written on them at least one or two other times. But given the magnitude of the storm and the number of people it affected, definitely worth a read if you have the time to get over there again. WashingtonPost.com. Jim Shaheen writes the Smoke Signals blog and did a great piece on Operation Barbecue Relief. Quickly, let me get you to the Kansas City Barbecue Society's Team of the Year Top 5 as it sits right now, or at least as I have checked a couple hours ago on the website. Three Eyes Barbecue is currently in the lead. Second, Pigskin Barbecue. Third, where did these guys come from? Munchin' Hogs at the Hilton. Crazy. Rob McGee trying to make a repeat. 4, Little Pigtown. 5, Big T's Q Crew. And then because I'm an equal opportunity promoter, we go to the FBA Top 5. Big Papa's Country Kitchen currently sitting in the top spot. Get Our Smoked. Number 2, Swamp Boys Barbecue. Rub Bagby and the boys out there. Sitting in the third position, Blitzkrieg Barbecue in the fourth spot. Hot Wachulas rounding out the top 5. Speaking of Hot Wachulas, for the people that really listen to the show, know the show, what the hell ever happened to Dan from Wachula? Dan, where are you?
Big stuff out of here.
Remember Dan? Used to call in, used to sound a little effeminate. I don't care. And would always work like he had some type of legitimate comment that he was going to make about the show or about a guest, and then worked into some weird double entendre sexual thing and eventually got himself run off the show. But since Hot Wachula is sitting in fifth spot, and I hear Wachula, I immediately go back because nobody knows the show better than me, right? It's my show. And maybe Don and Phil White. Whatever happened to Dan from Wachula? Dan, holla at your boy. Where you been at? Too busy for me? Too good for me now? All right, lots of things to get to. Dan Hickson coming up in about 5 minutes. Also, rounding out the first hour, Derek Riches from About.com. Do I have time to do this real quick? Damn it. Let me see if I can link over here real quick. Oh, no. That was removed by the user. No.
Big stuff out of here.
Well, that's terrible. I was going to show you the cannonball failure. Did everybody see this? I don't know where the hell it went. It actually went viral from what I believe. You had a guy who cleared off a bunch of ice. It was really cold out wherever they were. Decided he was going to do a cannonball into the water. Except for the fact he took so much time, the top of the water froze back over. So he cannonballed into ice. Thank you for coming.
Big stuff out of here.
Never a good idea to cannonball into ice. Word to the wise is a host of a popular show that I listen to, would say. All right, gang, we talk about pellet cookers a lot on this show. I think my dad's actually looking into possibly getting a pellet cooker. Number of teams out there on the circuit using pellet cookers. So I always tell you, look, Rempy, what do you suggest as far as pellet fuel is concerned for manufacturer? For me, Barbecuers Delight 100% of the time. Widely considered to be the pellet resource by people like me, by teams that use them on the competition circuit, by caterers, you name it, people are going to Barbecuers Delight more and more. Now, maybe you don't have a pellet cooker. No problem. You can still take advantage of the pellet revolution on your gas or charcoal grill or smoker by grabbing that cast iron pot option. You buy yourself a nice little sampler pack of pellets, you load a 1/3 cup into the pot, and then place that into your cooker or grill. Let that sweet, succulent smoke take care of the rest. Now, since these pellets have been processed from sawdust, you get pressure in there that generates heat. Any contaminants present in the wood eliminated. This process produces a sterile smoking wood product of consistent quality, and pellets are easy to use since you don't have to soak in water prior to use. Easy to blend with flavors. They produce consistent results each and every time. And you use Barbecuers Delight wood pellets. Now, here's something to quickly remember. If you're buying those little 1-pound bags, that's 100% flavor wood. If you're using it to do or fire your cookers, little different recipe. 2/3 oak, 1/3 flavor wood. Candy and the folks over at Barbecuers Delight have determined that is the best mix to give you that consistent BTU temperature and the smokewood flavor that you're looking for. So do yourself a favor. Grab some Barbecuers Delight pellets right now. Visit them at bbqrsdelight.com. That's bbqrsdelight.com. Check out all the flavors that they have. Stop fussing with the sticks and the chunks. It's Barbecuers Delight, the choice of competition cooks and backyard hacks just like me each and every weekend. Our website again, barbecuersdelight.com. That's bbqrsdelight.com. All right, we'll step away real quick, and when we come back, Dan Hickson's from Three Eyes Barbecue. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show right here, and you're watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central radio, audio, video networks. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
We are back. Coming up on 14 past the hour. God. And I got to figure out how to get that noise off. It's maddening to no end.
Hello.
Jeez. Danny!
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you well. Can you hear me all right?
I can indeed.
All right. Let me give you a proper introduction. My first guest tonight, having one of the most successful seasons we have seen in recent memory, capturing, I believe, to date, 11 Grand Championships. Obviously looking to add a few more before this year is out. This past weekend notched a reserve grand at the prestigious Hog Happenin in Shelby, North Carolina. They also purvey a very successful line of barbecue rubs. Let's go ahead and race over to the hotline and welcome back Pitmaster of Three Eyes Barbecue, Dan Hickson. Dan, another good weekend. Well, it's always my pleasure, and I appreciate you making time for the show, Dan. And, kind of another great weekend for you and Three Eyes. More points, another RGC. Here's another event with 50-plus teams, and you guys still managed to do well. I imagine you're pretty happy with how the weekend shook out for you.
Oh, ecstatic. I mean, we got a 691, which is one of our highest scores, and we still lost. So the level of competition out there is unbelievable. Yeah,
I was going to say, as we look at the results, you know me, Dan, I'm not a math guy, so I like to round up. So we'll call it a 692, good enough for second place. A 697 wins it for Two Old Men and a Grill. As we look back at those turn-ins, really overall, top 10 calls for everything. You're actually, when we talk about competition cooking, and pitmasters always talk about consistency. Geez, for your placement finishes, you couldn't be any more consistent. Chicken, 8th place. How did that actually turn in for you? Were you happy with the chicken?
Oh, we're happy with the chicken. I mean, we knew everything was consistent, but what the biggest variable was is I've only competed in North Carolina a couple times, so I didn't know how the flavor profile was going to hold up.
8th place there, a 4th place in ribs. You get the 4th pork and 8th in brisket. So, a couple 8ths, couple 4ths, all top 10 calls. It's got to be good in a competition when you're hearing your name called each and every category.
Oh, yeah, we were very thrilled with that. But, it's one of those competitions where they held the first-place finishers back again. So it was a big wild card as if we're going to be able to pull it out or not.
Is that like something that happens from contest to contest where they decide if they're going to string you out like that?
Yeah. They don't mention it ahead of time. They just mention it during the awards, and it's happened to us at least 5 or 6 times this season. Sometimes it's been in our favor, and sometimes it hasn't. But we never like it.
Dan Hickson from Three Eyes Barbecue joining me here on the show. The website, 3eyesbbq.com. That's the numeral 3EYZBBQ.com. You can find them at 3eyesbbq on the Twitter if you're doing that type of thing. Dan, as you're hearing everything go out, and then, of course, you're telling me that they're holding first-place finishes, as you're waiting to hear kind of those overalls and the first place, where's the mindset at for you guys?
The mindset was, we thought we had a chance. But when I heard Two Old Men and the Grill get a first-place call, I didn't think that we were going to hold up. So at that point, I was hoping to, I was happy to just get the reserve because I honestly thought we got third.
Is it pretty safe to say, well, let's quickly go over where you're standing at. I mean, your first overall team of the year, chicken, you're fourth for team of the year. You're second in ribs. You're fourth in pork. You're 16th in brisket. So I guess if we're talking about an Achilles heel, when you're compared to the other three, you're a little down from there. Is there something that you're not finding right with the brisket, or is it just happen to be the category that's getting you this year?
Something's got to be lower, and this year just happens to be brisket. I'm sure it'll come around again. Everything seems to go in cycles. Our ribs dropped off the map for a little bit, and now the ribs are back. So, everything goes in cycles, and we just try and tweak what we need to.
Now, you'd mentioned you get down to North Carolina, or I guess those southern states. Do you find that there is some type of, I don't want to say drastic, but noticeable flavor profile that the judges are looking for that you're typically not dealing with?
It's hard to say because if judges were static and if they didn't move around, then I would say yes, there's definitely flavor profiles. But the fact that judges travel kind of mixes that up. So we use the same flavor profile. We use our rub in the same sauces, and this year it's been very well for us all the way out from Kansas to Maine down to North Carolina. So we're hoping that works in Georgia as well.
Now, it's pretty safe to say that the overall level of cook has probably gone way up over the past few years. Is that a fair assessment, Dan?
You mean just across the board?
Yeah, across the board.
Yeah, I mean, ever since the classes came out, I think people are really learning what they can and going out there and taking classes. I've taken classes as well, and I think that's going to do wonders to improving everybody's barbecue. So, yeah, the level of competition has definitely gone up, and consistency across the board has gone up.
So you had, basically your 692. Typically, as I was kind of going through and looking at some of the scores, just in the last couple months, almost 85, 90% of the time good enough to win a grand. But we're seeing, high 690s, as you've seen, even into the 700s more than a handful of times this year. I mean, just overall, it's not just like show up and win anymore. I mean, it is really tough out there.
No, yeah, there's no show up and win anymore. I mean, you just do your best, and you put your best product out there, and you just kind of have to hope. I mean, it's my feeling that it's up to the cook to get in the top 10. I always say that. But after that, I mean, you're hoping to hit the right tables, and the difference between a first and a fourth-place finish is very small.
Dan Hickson joining me here on the show. Beginning of last month was the American Royal. Going into the event, I don't think it's probably a reach for me to say that Three Eyes was probably one of those prohibitive favorites given the success you had been having pretty much for the duration of the season. After roughly 4 weeks away from it now, in the invitational portion, 27th overall, how did you feel about that? A little disappointed? Did you expect a higher finish, or that's where it just shook out?
No, that's the first time we competed at the Royal as a team. So, we were soaking it in. We were enjoying it. I mean, we're taking it seriously, but I don't think that we had any expectations going. We wanted to experience it, and we wanted to wait until we were, in a good direction as a team, and we felt it was the right time. And I think it's a very respectable finish.
Is there a point, Dan, where when it's going so well that the group is getting collectively together and I mean, obviously you want to go to a competition and win. Otherwise, you wouldn't be going unless you just have a bunch of money to throw around, and who does? But when you get on a roll and you collect the wins like you've been having and you're very consistent, very successful, are there competitions where you're going in and going, we're going to win this one?
Well, you always hope to win it, but no, we never expect to win a competition. We never look and evaluate the field ahead of time. I mean, right now we feel like we're competing against ourselves. We want to put our best product forward, and we're spending time worrying about what we're doing, and just let everything sort out at the judges' table.
Now, when you turned around and you cooked the open portion, 39th overall, a completely different monster of a contest. You were happy with the invitational overall, as you said, but do you exact any type of even a bigger redemption or a self-team accomplishment when you're competing more than 500 teams on a given day?
No, I mean, whether we're competing against 20 teams or we're competing against 550, I mean, we're going to put the same level of effort forward. And, again, it's up to the judges at that point. Now, I'm not a mathematician either, but I'm pretty sure if you looked at the finish on the Open versus the Invitational, that's a better ranking for us. So we were happy with that as well, and we had some success with the auxiliary categories as well. So that took some of the sting about only getting one call.
Dan Hickson joining me here on the show. All right, Dan, so we're going to talk about it. You're in the driver's seat right now for Team of the Year. Not sure if you're aware of this or not, but I did talk, well, you're not aware that I talked to Scott Nelson this morning, but I don't know if you're aware that Pigskin Barbecue is pretty much out of the points race for the rest of the way. They're not going to be chasing any other points-related competitions. Does that make you feel any better at all?
No, not at all, because I just believe it when I see it, and there's other people behind him that I know are gunning for us as well, so it doesn't take any pressure off.
So you dovetailed nicely.
I appreciate the thought.
Yes, well, you dovetail nicely into my next question, which is why you've been on the show a number of times. We're almost like hand in glove. Current Team of the Year is making a tremendous run at you guys right now, munching hogs at the Hilton. He was at Hog Happenin cooking against you guys this past weekend. Really made quite a bid pretty late in the season. He's going to be in Georgia the next few weekends and trying to grab up some points there as well. I talked with Rob a little earlier today, and he's feeling very confident about some things that he said he learned in regard to flavor profiles there in the South that he's going to be executing from here on out the next couple weeks. Because you guys are cooking so well, so consistently, are you not concerned at all with the late run, or do you do a little shoulder peeking at this point?
No, I'm not concerned at all. Like I said, we're going to do the same thing we did earlier in the season, mid-season, and late season. We're giving it everything we got. We've got a pretty deep team. We're well-rested. Mm-hmm. We're looking forward to it. And honestly, I think we do better when we have competition. So I'm happy to hear that.
All right, so let's play hypothetical just for a second. And when I go hypothetical, it's always in the worst way. If for whatever reason, Team of the Year doesn't happen for you guys, will there be some kind of sourness or bitterness to some degree on an otherwise outstanding year for Three Eyes Barbecue?
Oh, no. No, there is no losing at this point. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but, this season has been epic. We've rattled off this run since June. It hasn't even been a full year, really. So we're happy. I'll congratulate anyone that overtakes us. That's a hell of a run by them, too. So certainly no bitterness, but it certainly would drive us even more if that's possible next year.
Dan Hickson joining me here on the show. 3eyesbbq.com, the website, and again, at 3eyesbbq on the Twitter if you follow there. Tell me, Dan, as we switch gears a little bit about, and you'd mentioned cooking schools and competition schools, Super Q School.
Yep.
What's going on there?
I took Rub's class last year. And Rub's a good guy, and he's had a lot of success. And we've been looking at getting into having our own class for quite some time. And I figured it'd be a great way to get us into the swing of things with competition classes to pair up with someone that's already successful in Rub. So we're going to do a joint effort in March 8th and 9th over in Winter Haven, Florida. And we just started advertising this past week.
All right, so again, dates, costs, what can one expect if they're going to be signing up for a combined Super Q school with Three Eyes and Swamp Boys?
Well, it's a Friday, Saturday class. We're going through all techniques. It'll be, we're still getting the start time worked out, probably 12 on Friday through 2 or 3 on Saturday. We run through all the KCBS categories, prep, injections, sauces, more of a techniques-based class than the pure recipes. We're going to give several different recipes and flavor profiles that work in the circuit from our combined experience. What we're also doing, though, is adding a twist on that, is we want to have, we've invited several master judges for both FBA and KCBS, and we're going to get some of their feedback both on our boxes, Three Eyes boxes, and Swamp Boys boxes. So we get feedback, the students will get feedback as they would at the judges' table, which they don't normally see. So I think there's lots to be learned in the class.
Did you spit out a cost of class there, Dan? I apologize.
I'm sorry. It'd be $750.
All right, $750. And then is there like a spousal discount or something like that? Because a lot of these guys want to bring their wives instead of using it as a weekend retreat.
Yes, in fact, I was originally against that, and
me too.
Rob talked me into it, so I'm happy to announce that there is a spousal discount. For documented real spouses, not teammates, unless they're both. And that would be half price for the spouse.
All right, half price for the spouse. And again, more focusing on techniques versus, just giving out all the recipes again.
Yeah, because I'm against just giving out the recipes. There's a process that goes into this. I mean, it's not just your smoker, it's not just your seasoning, it's what you bring to the table, what cookers you use, what temperature you want to cook at. It all goes together into creating a flavor profile and combination that works for you. So it's more individualized than just saying, here's our recipe, and if you do the same thing, you'll do good, because I don't believe in that.
So to play devil's advocate just for a second, isn't the majority of classes out there pretty much exactly what you're kind of steering away from? You're paying $500 or $750 because those people want exactly your recipe, and they want to go out next weekend and try and duplicate exactly what you told them. Now, look, I've talked to 50 billion pitmasters that say, I'll tell you everything that I do, but it's up to you to go out and execute it each and every weekend, and that's where the biggest disconnect is between a team like you and a team like mine. If I took your class, I couldn't just probably go out there and win the next weekend. But they think they're that much more of a leg up on a number of the other teams that didn't take the class. So do you perceive any type of less enrollment because there aren't going to be those recipes that people might be seeking from you guys?
I don't think so. I hope people look at it as a different viewpoint. I mean, there's things that I want to teach that I haven't seen at other classes that I've attended. And that's the thought process behind what goes into the recipes, thought process behind what exactly you're doing. I've seen people come out of classes and duplicate recipes and win. I have seen that. And then I've seen those same teams drop off because they're not adapting, they're not changing with what works, and taking a look at their box critically and figuring out what they need to do different next time. I mean, that's the thought process I want to go through in the class. And less focus on the actual recipe itself, because I don't think it's that important.
Dan Hickson joining.
Go ahead. I'm sure the team that's first place and the team that's 10th place have, equally successful, cooking recipes.
Dan Hickson joining me here on the show. Is there a website for people to go to take a look at that and sign up for it?
I don't have it memorized. It's on Swamp Boy's site right now. It'll be up on mine shortly this week. And the link has been on Facebook if you're friends with either one of us.
All right, and I think that's like swampboys.com, and you could probably find the link from there. Dan Hickson talking to me here on the show. All right, Dan, so having a huge competition year, does that correlate into one of the record-breaking rub selling seasons of all time too, or is that pretty much steady Eddie?
No, it has been increasing more and more and more. I order it in fresh batches because I want it to be fresh when people order it, and I'm looking at larger and larger pallet loads as we go through the months. So I'm expecting to be hit hard even more come spring. But, yeah, it's been amazing.
All right, so finishing out the rest of 2012 competition-wise, what do you guys and the team have laid out?
So far we have Lake Lanier or Gainesville, Georgia coming up. We have, after that, Cummings, Georgia. Mm-hmm. And then King of the Smokers, which is a competitor series event out in La Quinta, California.
Yep. With
Big Papa Smokers. And if we need to add, we will certainly add, but I've not seen any large competitions left this year. So I don't know that there'll be any more to add.
Dan, I got a couple minutes left here. Let me get your take on that. Since you're going to be taking part in the King of the Smokers, there were two that really jump off. One took place, which was like the Bare Bones Barbecue Festival out in Oakland, California, a month or so ago. And then you have King of the Smokers, where you're basically, I guess reverting back to what a lot of people would consider to be more of a traditional style of competition barbecue. No pitmaster, no gurus, no pellet cookers, people getting the same meat, in some instances the same cooker to cook on. Do you think this is something that it's kind of like a fad and it's just fun to do, or do you think this is something that actually might get legs and you'll see more and more of next year after that?
I don't know. I don't think it's ever going to fall off people's radar. And I don't know that it's more... I guess it's more traditional without the electronics, but I don't really see that being a crutch. I mean, it's a tool to get some more sleep at a competition and a little more consistent, but it's not necessary. We've already done a competition earlier this year, the Go Naked barbecue battle. Clothes were worn over in Greencastle, Pennsylvania, and we ended up winning that one without gurus. So, we're comfortable cooking with or without them. But it is interesting to have the same meat. I don't know that other than pitmasters I've run into that. So I do like that. We'll see how that works out.
Do you think that a lot of teams do get some type of a competitive advantage because they are using a certain purveyor's meat and they're just accustomed to that, and then showing up to an event like this, it really does kind of even everybody out because not everybody's going to have familiarity with Sam's Club chicken or this kind of brisket or that kind of ribs or pork butt?
Yeah, I could see it evening out the field a little bit. Especially teams that just use, one type of chicken or one type of brisket, and they get it from the same place every time. But those teams that have to scrounge for meat sometimes and actually shop for it, I don't know that there'd be as much of a disadvantage for them.
Dan Hickson is one of the pitmasters on Three Eyes Barbecue. They're currently ranked first overall for Team of the Year, and look to close it out here over the next few months. Dan, always appreciate the time you give to the show, and continued success to you.
All right. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it.
You got it. There he is. Dan Hickson, Three Eyes Barbecue, answering all of the tough questions, as, of course, I know he would. I mean, this could be one of the most prolific seasons that any team has had in recent memory, at least. But, man, how long ago was it when Mike Davis won like 758 reserve and grand champions? Was that like 04 or whatever? And that was a memorable season. Well, this one... just as on par. And they're having a very good year, but more importantly, consistent. Consistency is the key, right? Nobody more consistent. By the way, Dan, I forgot to tell you, but you're on the phone. I got the Three Eyes Barbecue shirt on right there. There he is, Three Eyes. A little extra karma for you coming weeks. So thanks again to Dan Hickson. Gang, look, let's be honest with each other here. It's almost mid-November. You know what next month is, right? Holiday season. Let's get on it early. Okay? Let me help you with your gift buying, some suggestions for you, keep you out of the doghouse this year. First and foremost, you know who we're going to talk about? Stephen DeFranco, right here in beautiful Willoughby, Ohio. Jeweler of the Barbecue Stars. StephenDeFranco.com. Maybe this is the year that you're going to get engaged, that you are going to get your wife a surprise anniversary band or a surprise piece of jewelry or watch or whatever the case may be. This is the guy you want to deal with. We're always wondering how we can get special deals, especially on jewelry. You always want to know somebody. This is the guy that you want to know. I know him. He sponsors the show. He's looking basically to just hook you up with jewelry and watches and other cool, fine stuff. Wood artisan bowls, you name it. StephenDeFranco.com is the website. You go there first and you look. Then you find something. Then you call 440-943-2700. That's 440-943-2700. Ask for Steve if he doesn't answer the phone. And say, hey, Steve, my name is X. I'm a fan of the show. I listen to it all the time. I hear Rempy do commercials for you, live reads, and I'm ready to take advantage of these savings. And then he's going to hook you up with whatever it is you tell him. He's going to make great suggestions. Maybe there's going to be something that you're getting that has the option of customizing. You don't even have to be in the store. He's done it for top men in the industry right now. John Marcus, just to name a few. Me as well, and I'm not even a top man in the industry. He's going to lead you right through the process. He's going to ship it to you for free. And he's going to give you a huge discount on top of it. So again, go to the website, find what you like, StephenDeFranco.com. Then you call him, 440-943-2700. Ask for Steve specifically. He is the owner, so you're not dealing with some schlep. Tell him who you are. Tell him you're a fan of the show. Watch the dollars fall off. Watch the happiness with the gift person you give it to. Happiness. All right, thanks again to Dan Hickson for joining me in the segment, and we're going to dial up Derek Riches in just a few. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Get in the smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempy.
Big B, Moonshine Band, Suburban Boys Records. Let's go! I'm an outlaw. Give Give me 2 shots. We don't need a radio, bring a jukebox. For my outlaws, bring me 3 shots. We can raise hell before the speed stops. I'm a whiskey drinking SOB. If you don't like that, then you won't like me.
We are back. 37 past. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Can't start video. What? Oh, shit. Derek.
Hey, Greg.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I've made a tremendous error.
Uh-oh.
Let me, can I call you right back?
Sure.
All right. Let's see here. Options. Video. Oh, man. Well, I figured that would happen. Remember, you got to close Skype. And then make sure you got the right camera working. All right, so we'll just fire it back up. Lots of good things to react to in regards to Dan Hickson's interview. One, very confident, obviously. And, you know, when you are in a position, well, why isn't this going to show up now? This is a shame. Where is my camera at? Do I need to make it work with Skype? Enable Skype interaction. Apply. Okay. Oh, crap. All right. Well, it's just going to have to be audio with Derek tonight, which is fine. Derek does well equally on video and audio, except I don't have a picture of Derek to show up, so it's just going to be me. I'm not hitting the monitor this time, I swear to God. Last time I did that, I paid for it in more ways than one. Derek will be here. Derek, how are you, buddy?
Good. How you doing?
All right. No video tonight because obviously I've done something wrong with a driver and my show camera isn't showing up for you. But that's all right. These things happen.
No problem.
All right. Derek Rich is joining me here on the show. Has one of the coolest jobs ever at bbq.about.com, where he gets to play with a bunch of cool barbecue and grilling equipment, gets to preview stuff that's coming out on the market. But a couple weeks ago, Derek, you were at the Jack Daniels World Barbecue Invitational Cook-Off in Lynchburg, Tennessee. And, you know, it's unique for me to obviously talk to the pitmasters that take part in that, although that didn't happen last week because of the hurricane and my power outage. But to have someone like yourself who isn't necessarily out there, you know, cooking for the event to win, but you're able to peruse the grounds and kind of get a different perspective. So first question here is this. You know, we talk a lot about on this show, would you rather win an American Royal, Open, or Invitational? Would you rather win the Jack? You talk to a lot of barbecue people, a lot of pit masters during the course of any given year, Derek. Do you have a percentage of people that you have talked to that say they would rather win, you know, an American Royal version championship or a Jack Daniels championship? And where do you see that percentage falling?
Oh, that's a good question. Because to me, you know, the Royal and the Jack are kind of very different events. I would probably say that people I talk to would probably rather win the Royal, but you know, the Jack is kind of a more intimate competition, and I think it's kind of a fun event to go to, particularly if it's warm, which it really wasn't. But yeah, I think most people would rather win the Royal, but I think they'd like to get that invitation to the Jack.
Is it a Royal Open win, or is it a Royal Invitational win that they would rather have, do you think?
Well, I think it's the Invitational because it's kind of, it's more prestigious. I mean, that's the thing about the Royal Invitational and the Jack is, I mean, you have to be invited to be there. You've already got to, be in that position just to get there.
Derek Rich is joining me here on the show. So when you go to an American Royal, when you go to a Jack Daniels, and this, to me, it's a very odd contest because, there's the drawing process. I mean, obviously you have to win. If you win 7 in a row between a certain period of time, you automatically get in. If you won it the previous year, you're automatically in. If you win it 50, if you've been 50 times like an IQ barbecue team, you just get to show up, without anything anymore. But then there's this whole weird mystical drawing process where if you've won, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to take part. So there's always that criticism of great teams have been left off or didn't get the opportunity to get in, which I guess leads to some of that mysticism and romance that the Jack has that some of these others don't. That being said, as you're down there in Lynchburg, what are you taking in from a journalist and as a tourist, I guess, to a certain degree? How are you experiencing this event, and what do you think makes it so special?
Well, I don't know. I mean, my experience there, is kind of probably unique in the fact that, I'm there kind of as a guest of Jack Daniels. And so, there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. And, they want to make sure you have a good time and you get to see everything and they get to tell you all about Jack Daniels and things like that. So I actually, I had to kind of break away to go out to, to where the teams were and to get some time actually out there. So there's kind of there's the Jack Daniels event, there's the parties that go on there, and then there's the competition. And it's kind of interesting how segregated it can kind of become. The teams are there very seriously. They're down there, they're doing their thing, and they kind of, stay out of the parties a little bit. Like Friday night, they have the big party up on the hill, and you go up there, and all the teams are leaving pretty early because they want to get back real quick. So it's kind of an unusual event, I think, in that regard.
There's a lot of international presence there as well. Do those teams kind of have a deer in the headlights look, if you will, when it actually comes down to competition time, or do they seem to be more or less in an element of comfort?
Yeah, that really tells. I was watching the I think it was the Danish national team, and they're very well organized and they've got a ton of equipment and they're very serious about it. And then I was talking with a guy from Norway, was there with kind of the European All-Stars, and it was kind of like, well, we're here, and that's in and of itself, a good thing, and not really expecting to do well. So I think it's kind of runs the gambit from just getting to the Jack to, really actually trying to make some progress.
There was a lot of talk earlier in the year, and I think towards the end of last year, by a guy by the name of Toby Shea, who runs the British Barbecue Society, and he was calling, and look, you made probably the most valid point ever just a couple minutes ago, saying this is a Jack Daniels run event, or Foreman Brown, whatever you want to call it. But taking that aside, he was looking to get more of a similar competition thing for the Europeans to have to kind of qualify through to go to the Jack. In any regard or in any fashion, would you like to see something like that where the Europeans had to at least attempt to kind of run a gauntlet that the American teams are doing? Because, it's obviously night and day for what the Americans have to do to get in and what an international team has to do to get in.
Oh, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I think that as more teams kind of develop in Europe, will probably go that direction. But both KCBS and Jack Daniels really want this to be an international event. I was talking with someone from KCBS, and they're talking about setting up competitions in South Africa and a number of other places, and they just want to get that involvement to be able to get these teams to kind of come here for this event, just to internationalize and to export barbecue around the world. And if they are successful, then I think we will start seeing European championships, and I'd like to volunteer to judge that right now if they'll fly me over.
Yeah, you and me both. Do you think it makes sense for KCBS to look to go a lot more international than, obviously I think they have some that are existing out there now, but to really make a broad push to get into a bunch of different countries and get this barbecue thing out there, do you think that has legs and could be successful?
If you talk to anybody in the barbecue business, and gas grill manufacturers, barbecue sauces, anything like that, what they look at is international. They look at, the global market potential outside of the United States because, this is mature in the U.S. It's a big business here, and by being able to reach these foreign markets, I think that they see that's kind of where all the growth is really going to come from.
Derek Rich is joining me here on the show. bbq.about.com is the place you want to go on the internet to check him out, see all the reviews that he does. This weekend, Derek, a Kingsford Invitational, you're going to be down there for that, I imagine.
Yeah.
Man, how lucky for you, you're going to get to meet me. I'm sure the stars are in your eyes, right?
Yeah, it's like the highlight of my whole year.
Oh, I can only imagine. And mine, too, meeting you finally. This is kind of, inaugural event. Kingsford, huge in the support of barbecue, which personally I appreciate and adore more than anybody else on the face of the earth, that Kingsford has decided to really kind of jump on board and support it as they have the last couple of years. And I'm a big fan of their products, as I know you are, too. What are you expecting out of this being a first-time event, but having a Clorox and a Kingsford behind it?
This gets to be interesting in that idea that now you have a barbecue-related company trying to create their own competition space. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes and how much attention it draws. Of course, what is it, $50,000 winner-take-all prize. I think that they will be able to get plenty of interest in the future.
Is one of the lowlights of this coming weekend the possibility of actually seeing Clint Cantwell live and in person? Jeez. One of the things I'm not looking forward to. Is this my
actually,
guy?
that's funny because Clint was at the Jack and then he was at a Weber event that I was at. So this has been a month of Clint Cantwell.
Wow. Well, one of us is very lucky and one of us is Derek Riches, who is from bbq.about.com, by the way. All right, so we're looking forward to this coming weekend. Before I let you go, Derek, is there anything that you have been kind of playing around with or gotten a chance to review that you would like to tell us about here before I cut you loose?
Really the newest stuff I've seen was the 2013 product line from Weber. I think that they've got this Smoky Joe Jumbo, which is basically an 18.5-inch kettle that's portable, and I think that that's going to be kind of a good product. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a great tailgating product going forward.
Isn't that also known as the Weber Kettle Silver?
No, because this doesn't stand at full height. It is like a Smoky Joe. It's got short little legs on it, and the lid locks in place, and so it is a fully portable, grab it with one hand and run off with it, but it's just as big as the Kettle Silver, the 18.5-inch.
Is it just as pricey as well? And, I use that in relative terms. I mean, anything Weber Kettle is not overly pricey unless I guess you're looking at a Performer, and, that's a little bit different monster. But price point-wise, does it seem to be pretty reasonable?
I think it's coming in around $60. I've seen it cheaper. So that's, it's not cheap, but, for a portable charcoal, it's not a bad price.
Oh, and for a Weber, I mean, that thing's going to be around forever. I think we all know that, the most successful selling grill in the world has been the Weber Kettle. So for $60 for the portability, obviously tailgating is well underway at this point, especially in college and in pro sports. So I think that's probably going to be a definite good product for them. Anything else that kind of sparked your interest in their product line? Are they doing like a whole body revamp on some of these things?
They're relaunching the Spirit Gas Grill line. Really not a whole lot interesting there. Basically, I think it's like 5 gas grills, pretty basic. It's coming out of their China factory. Lower price end gas grills. And they're going to have 3 of the Performers this year with varying price points. I think it runs about $200 to $350. Not a lot of innovation there either. They touted one of the features as a little as a timer that locks into place on the Performer grill, but it's a 99-minute egg timer, and they're calling that a feature. So I think that's kind of a miss there.
Egg timers, yes, that's probably a miss. Derek Riches, you can find him again, bbq.about.com, and I will find him this weekend at St. Louis. Derek, look forward to seeing you, and I always appreciate the time you make for the show. Yeah,
you got to buy me a drink on Thursday night.
I will buy you 2.
All right.
All right, Derek. There he is. We'll see you Thursday night, Derek Riches. bbq.about.com. Who's in for a $60 Weber Smoky Big Joe? Me. I'm in for that. Okay. Doc. Hey, Ray Lampy's in the house, everybody. Legend. You going to be in St. Louis? Ray, you going to St. Louis, Ray? Drinks on me if you're there. Folks, we talked about it briefly with Dan Hickson. That being the barbecue guru. Makers of automatic pit temperature control technology, second to none. They created this technology. Why would you look anywhere else if you're looking for automatic pit temperature controls? Don't do it. Don't bother wasting your time. Just go right to thebbqguru.com and point right from there. Now, maybe you're not familiar with how this is an invisible pen. Oh, yeah, nice. Maybe you're not familiar with how these little beauties work. In simplicate form, it's a device that attaches to your cooker. You're going to set a temperature you want it to keep it at in the pit. And then through a series of microprocessors and fans, it will magically keep your set pit temperature. Now, you can go to work. Now you can run around with kids. You can do shopping. You do not have to be slaved to 10 pit temperature to whatever kind of a cooker you have. It can be a stick burner. It can be a pellet cooker. It can be electric. It can be charcoal driven. Those are most popular, of course. But you just basically set that temperature and you're off and running now. 5 different ones to choose from at this point. They can match your checkbook, budget. They can match your level of geekdom. They have a CyberQ Wi-Fi that if you have access to Wi-Fi connections, you jump on, you have a smartphone, you have a tablet, you have a netbook, you have a laptop, some type of smart device that has internet access. You can jump through that internet right into the CyberQ Wi-Fi unit, and you can see what your meat is at, temperature-wise, internal. You can see where your pit temperature is at, internal. You can make pit temperature adjustments. You can you want to slow that cooking process down. Maybe you want to speed it up, whatever the case may be. This is the place to go. Stop looking anywhere else. These other people are just pretending. You need to head on over to thebbqguru.com. Check out all the products. If you have any questions, give them a call, 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. They will make sure you're outfitted with exactly what you need to get you up and running right out of the box. 800-288-GURU. Or visit them on the website, thebbqguru.com. Longest running sponsor of the show that I appreciate and adore more than anybody else. All right, we'll come back, wrap up the first hour of the show, and then we'll point to the second hour. You're listening to the Barbecue Central show right here on the Barbecue Central Radio Networks.
Interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
Who would have thought this music thing was going to go this far? I never asked for this. I never asked for this fast living, the women, the whiskey, craziness. There's whiskey in my soul.
I've been drifting down that open highway, finger in the air, cause I do things my way. The next town's where I call home.
Yeah.
Oh, you are back. That's my chance to see those guys live in concert here in Seatown. Moonshine Bandits. Ray will not be in St. Louis this weekend, going to Iowa. What's in Iowa? All they have are some of the hottest competition barbecue cooking teams on the face of the earth. Why would anybody want to go out there? Beyond me. Here, invisible pen. Here's the question of the night. Didn't know I was going to run a contest until just now. I was just trading an email with Patio Daddio BBQ, PatioDaddyBBQ.com. And within a body of a letter, he wrote, don't forget something about closing and sales. ABC, always be closing. Now, to me, that resonates a specific movie. So I said, hey, don't even ask me what my name is. That's my favorite movie. Then he wrote back, He has no idea what I'm actually talking about. So does anybody know what movie ABC, Always Be Closing, came from? First one in instant chat or email that can give me the name of that movie, I have a special prize for you. A hot prize. It's a hot one. Thanks to Derek Riches for coming on last segment. I'm in for a $60 Weber Smoky Big Joe. Oh, God. Clint, I'll win your prize. Well, wow, look at that. George, Greg Urban knew it. Steve knew it. But Clint was first. So, Clint, I will fly your gift in when I see you this weekend. No. It's not a back rub.
Big stuff out of here.
It's not a baby back rub in St. Louis. Ooh, yikes. It's getting out of hand here, folks. I will bring it. I'm excited to see Chris Grove as well this coming weekend. Yep. I'm excited to see Meathead this coming weekend. I'm excited to see Robin Lindars this coming weekend. John Dawson this coming weekend. It's a veritable who's who. Somehow I got invited. Whatever. Don't regret that. All right, so Clint, email me that I need to bring your prize. So I'll go ahead and stick that in the knapsack, as it were. Thanks again to Dan Hickson from Three Eyes, joining me at the 9:14 spot, and then Derek Riches at 9:35. We're going to come back with second takes at the top of the hour. And then we have Mike McLeod from MMA Creative. We're going to be recapping the World Food Championships. Some accounts, good. Some accounts, We'll get it right from the horse's mouth, see what he thought. Things he could do better, things he thought went better than expected, whatever. We'll go from there. Clint, the invisible pen probably isn't going to look the same in person, if you know what I mean. You have no idea what I mean. Here's the invisible pen. Here's the invisible pen when it's not the invisible pen. Little studio magic right there. All right, we'll step away, reload for the second hour. You stand by, 877-448-0433, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Radio Networks.
Hi, I'm Johnny Dam, host of the Damage Report radio show. When I'm not falling in love with the First Amendment all over again, I like to sit back, relax, and rub my meat to the Barbecue Central Show. And now your host, Greg Rempe. Go, Greg. Yeah, rub that meat.
From my heart and from my hand, why don't people understand my intention?
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan. So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent fish! What?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shake your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
You could use it to fight off creeping marauders looking to take your steaks off your grills.
I just like being anywhere with Junior, Senior, and Diva.
Sounds like a whole other movie.
Wow. Yeah, really. Keep it hot, keep it clean, keep it lubricated.
We have top men working on it right now. Ooh, top men.
All right, we are back into the second hour. Get it done. 877-448-0433. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. John Dawson weighing in. Gift for Clinton. Is it a rim job? Rib job, he means. No. No, neither of those. Weirdo. What are they doing out there in Idaho? Rim jobs. Survey Tuesday questions. Would you rather win the American Royal Invitational, the American Royal Open, Invitational, the Jack, or the World Food Championships? For me, it's the Invitational. It's for me. Funny, Clint. That's funny. Question number 2. How's everyone a week after the hurricane? How's my East Coast boys? Check in. How's my East Coasters? Power's back on here in Cleveland. Obviously, the show's back on. This is a live show. It's October 6th. Evidently, we're electing presidents and other elected officials today. It's too close to call with your presidential update. Too close to call.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Obama projected to possibly win Florida, and that could put him over the top. That's who you want to win? Good. That's who you want to lose? Not good.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Question number 3. If you could have only one cooker, what would it be? For me, if I only had to have one cooker, I'm going to go with the old standby, my first ever, my love and passion, Weber Smoky Mountain. Because look, in the end, I don't have to rely, I do like that Grilla pellet cooker a lot. But in the end, I don't want to have to be potentially relegated to electricity. If the power goes out like it did for a week, I still want to be able to cook. There you go. Those are my answers. What are your answers? Ray Lampy wants a big green egg. Ray, big surprise. One cooker. Chris from IQ. Okay, that's funny. Did good. Insulated offset. Remember your sponsors, Rempe. I don't have a Green Mountain Grill, so I can't say that I would. I love the fact that they support the show, absolutely. But I haven't actually cooked on one to fall in love with yet, although I would love one. Quick note, StoryQ.com, StoryQUE, from all accounts, the first and only dedicated barbecue magazine in the newsstand, which you would find on your iPad, iOS device. So here's what you do. You go to StoryQ.com. You download the free iPad app if you have one. And inside the app, you can subscribe for a 3-month trial for free with the code GET, then the numeral 3, and then months, plural, MONTHS, all one word. GET, the numeral 3 months. Again, this is for iPad only, so if you have one, check it out. It's called the StoryQ.com. Go there on your iPad itself. Get 3 months, see what it's like. I believe it's the only barbecue magazine in the newsstand of your iOS iPad. Programming note for next week on the show, we will have the winner of the Kingsford Invitational event, obviously. Meathead is going to be back on. Also slated Reggie Milligan from Mantry. If you're not familiar with Mantry, you'll be introduced to that next week. Try Mantry.com for a preview. There also may or may not be a John Marcus sighting as well. Never know. Maybe Scott Nelson sighting as well. Maybe Scott Nelson if he wins Kingsford Invitational, whatever. So I've been kind of talking about it around the bush. I'm going to be heading to the Kingsford Invitational event this weekend. Really looking forward to seeing many of the great teams that I have had on the show before. Probably more than anything else is being able to meet a lot of these teams that I've interviewed over and over and over again. So I'm really looking forward to meeting them in person, seeing them, and just kind of having outside of the show conversations. And as I'd mentioned before, also meeting the likes of Meathead, John Dawson from PatioDaddyOBBQ.com, Robin Lindars from GrillGirl.com, Derek Riches, About.com, Chris Grove, Nibble Me This, Clinton as well from Smokin' to Eye. So really looking forward to meeting all of the bigwig barbecue people that are going to be out in St. Louis for that Kingsford Invitational event. Chris Lilly, looking forward to. He told me he was actually looking forward to meeting me. Harry Sue, also looking forward to meeting Harry Sue. A couple weeks ago, we were looking at the grill boat. You guys remember the grill boat? It was like $50,000. And I thought, geez, here's something that really has legs. And then I found something else. Like grilling on your boat with 15 or 20 of your friends wasn't enough. Will Rempe be a Kingsford Mark after this weekend? Chad, already there, buddy. Nobody's a bigger fan of Kingsford than me. Nobody. You show me your biggest Kingsford Mark, I am way bigger. I'm the new Kingsford Mark. Just call me Sir Mark of Kingsford. It's my new royal name. I didn't have like the $50,000 to shell out for the barbecue boat, although it had a nice canopy over the top. What could possibly be better? Riddle me this. What could possibly be better than a barbecue boat? Let me show you. For your consideration, the hot tub boat. How about that? That's right. Here it is, floating away in the hybrid they call it a hot tub boat. So here it is. And you can see it's probably going to fit at least, if you're not lounging about like these people are. Let me see if I can do a better pull-up here. Give me the bottom. There you go. If you see here, you could probably fit like what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people in this thing. And it does float. Here it is, floating away. You have the little rudder system right there. It's got this rather large chimney off the front, which I can only imagine is the heat generator that allows you to be warm in your hot tub boat. You can see these two are having a brilliant time together. And obviously, a lot of this is down underneath the water, so it seems to float fairly consistently. Here you can see that it's steaming, as they say, down the canal. And they do have and this is what it looks like, I guess, conceptually. So, for your comment, now I can scroll up here. It holds 500 gallons of water. And I want to say it was like $15,000 or something like that. So, in the grand scheme of barbecue boat, hot tub boat, whatever the case may be, at least in my estimation, if I'm choosing between one or the other, and if money's no option, it is grill boat all day long and twice on Sunday. Had a nice 18.5-inch grill in there. You could fit 10 or 11 of your friends. It did have a trolling motor that you could get you 5, 6, 7 miles an hour down the canal. It had that nice canopy umbrella over the top to keep the sun out, maybe the smoke in. It's kind of a little troublesome. But man, 50 G's. So I think the hot tub boat was like $15,000. So a lot more manageable. I mean, I don't have 15 large G's to throw around, but I have closer to 15 than I do to 50. And you take it out, especially now in the Cleveland area when it's getting to be 25 degrees at night. Get that into the old river that catches on fire. Turn on the motor. Turn on the heater. Have a couple of the lady friends around and knock back a few cocktails in your hot tub boat. Seems like a no-brainer to me. I'm all over it. Gang, quickly approaching. We're coming back with Mike McLeod here in just a moment. But after that, it's going to be Dave Bofska from Butcher Barbecue. And Dave and I tonight, aside from talking about his win on the barbecue portion of the World Food Championship, he's going to be talking. Not only is he going to be talking, he's going to be giving away the name of not one, not two, but 3 lucky winners of Butcher Barbecue injections for a year. What? That's right. Not 1, not 2, but 3. No less than 3 winners for Butcher Barbecue injections for a year. Imagine a full competition season of barbecue injection from Butcher Barbecue taken care of. You can take that expense right off, no problem. We're going to be doing that in about 25 minutes from now. That ends effectively that competition. We were going to do it last year, but we kind of got, no power. Also, Dave is doing a very popular program right now. People asking me about it all the time. Renvy, what's with this trade-in program at Butcher Barbecue? Can you give me a little bit more insight in this? Well, of course I can. I'm the guy that's giving you the read. Here's the deal. Maybe you have bought injection from another manufacturer other than Butcher. Commercial. Not something you just concocted up in the whatever, in your kitchens. This injection stuff. If it's commercially made, you find your scores have started to tumble, or you find that the neighbors are starting to incessantly bitch and moan about the lack of quality of your barbecue products, don't take it to heart. We all make mistakes. Dave Bosca from Butcher Barbecue is here to help you out. You go to the website, butcherbbq.com. Very top right of his link navigation, there's a thing that's called Trade It. Click that, fill out the form, and then send back whatever remaining competitors' injections that you have, and Dave, in return, will send you back Butcher Barbecue injection, whether it be the pork or the prime injection or the beef injection. You will get whatever you sent him in replacement back from Butcher Barbecue. Now, you send it in with the complete or partial label. Dave will weigh it at the time of arrival. That amount is final per Dave. If you have any questions, you can contact him through the website. Then he'll send you back that same amount. So you send 3 pounds back of whatever injection. He'll get you 3 pounds of the pork or the beef or the prime injection Butcher Barbecue. Time tested by many, many teams. Time tested by many, many sanctioning bodies. And they win all the time with this stuff. ButcherBBQ.com. It's a trade-in program still going on. Plus, we're announcing the winners 1, 2, 3 of Butcher Barbecue injections for a year coming up. Later in the show, you don't want to miss that. But Mike McLeod is next. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, we are back. 14 past. 877-448-0433. Greg at bbqcentralshow.com. I got to figure out a way to kill that. It's just the way it is. We'll wait. I'll wait.
Hello. Thank you for calling NMA.
Oh, crap. Let's go mobile. That's what I meant to do. I'm going to go mobile phone. Again, don't forget, Dave Bosca will be showing up in about 25 minutes from now to give away 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 years' supplies. Well, 3 individual year supplies of Butcher Barbecue injections. For those people who are looking to hear about this World Food Championships, I've brought on somebody that knows intimately exactly what went down this past weekend. He is the president, CEO of MMA Creative. Mike McLeod joining me here on the show. Mike, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous, Mike. Always appreciate you making time for the show. And we've stepped into the newsroom here, which you can't see because you're on the phone, but we're looking very professional tonight. Mike, for the people who aren't, I guess, keen on the what I'll affectionately refer to as the WFC or the World Food Championship, if you could kind of break down the event itself, what it entailed, that prize money, kind of that general idea of the event.
Quite simply, we try to create the Super Bowl of food. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
We decided to mash up 7 categories of food competition into one big massive event. We had sandwich, burger, recipe, chef's challenge, barbecue, chili, side dish. I'm probably missing 1 or 2. My brain is still trying to get back to normal. But we went through a categorical divisional championship in each category, and then we pitted them against each other in a the only thing that I could call an ultimate food fight. We had 7 celebrity judges who rendered their opinion on what the best dish of the day was. We did all of this over the course of 3 days. We had almost 300 competitors spread across a couple of properties. We used 3 casinos to do VIP events, to do competitions, and then ultimately the final table at Caesar's Palace. And we watched Adam Richman MC and host a panel of celebrity judges as they tried to eliminate dish by dish until they had an ultimate world food champion. And it took about an hour for them to do that, and it was extremely entertaining. First time it had ever been done that way. We kind of envisioned it being pretty cool and pretty fun, but it exceeded our expectations, and at the end of the day, we were just delighted with the outcome.
All right, so a lot of different follow-up questions that I'll try and get to here during the course of our segment here, Mike. But, as someone who was a very integral part of getting this off the ground and all that stuff, how long does it take you to get this event from concept on paper, sounds like a great idea, to bona fide competition?
In serious time, I would say about a year. We started talking to casinos in Vegas about this time last year, or maybe a little before. And it took us 6 to 8 months to get a contract in place before we could announce the actual host, the Caesars Entertainment properties. And then we spent the rest of the time developing the processes, communicating to the channels, communicating to competitors and judges and volunteers what was going on, and then logistically trying to figure out a roadmap for basically what we call a new tire, a new wheel. We invented a wheel here, and it was incredibly exhausting, but incredibly invigorating. And I'm proud to say that every one of our associates that were involved are still standing. They might be a little bit horizontal tonight, still trying to recuperate, but we're alive and well, and we feel like we just pulled off an incredible food feat that now we have a great template for, and we can build on in the years to come. And by the way, you asked me in the beginning to reference prize purse. I don't think I did. Our company put up a $300,000 prize purse to make sure that each category had a significant prize purse, and then ultimately the final table had a big prize purse that each one of the 7 champions were going after.
What was the final prize purse take at for the winner?
I think the champion took home $10,000 in his category, and then at the final table took home $50,000.
Oh wow!
So the champion pocketed about $60,000, I guess it was, through the process.
A bad weekend's work, absolutely. Mike McLeod joining me here on the show. MMAcreative.com is his website, president and CEO of MMA Creative. One of the things that kind of stands out is, and you referenced it there when you were just talking about it in the open, this wasn't just a barbecue event. I mean, let's face it, if you're a fan of the show, if you've heard our interviews before, MMA Creative is a branding partner with KCBS, which obviously is known only for barbecue competitions. It was burgers, it was sandwiches and side dishes and chilies and recipes and cooks, some big personalities there as well. Why branch out like this? Is this something that you really wanted to see would work? Do you want to get more people involved? Why make the branch out of, I guess, a comfort zone, if you will?
It's a great question, and sometimes we do things just simply because we don't know better, right?
Yeah, I know that.
In all seriousness, though, we saw a niche, and we saw that there was an opportunity to create a massive foodie event. It did not exist. We have been studying barbecue competitions and chili competitions now for over 6, 7, 8 years, and we felt like we were prepared to do something of this magnitude. And on a personal note, as I've helped KCBS grow and prosper and do great things through the Barbecue Network, I just felt like this could possibly be a legacy of mine and for my company. I've been in marketing now for over 20 years, and I never have felt as close to or as significant to or integrated in in food as much as I have anything else. I thought, well, what is it? What's the end game for Mike McLeod or for MMA or for Tribe? And as we kind of envisioned this program, this platform, I thought, this is it. This could be our legacy. So I'm hoping to raise awareness for competitive food as a sport. I know how hard the teams work. I know how much the judges love it. I know how much consumers dig it. So I can't think of a better or bigger or broader or more impactful thing to do than to establish a long-term, ongoing, year-in, year-out food celebration in Las Vegas, and that's what we're aiming for.
All right, so with that answer, you've effectively blown all of my questions. So we'll bid this one good night, and we're done. No, I'm just kidding. Mike, do you think that this is an event that might see more popularity as we move ahead? Could this be kind of an evolution of a barbecue competition? Will you see more and more of these styles of events show up more and more now that it's kind of a template has been, as you said, kind of been molded and proven out?
I think so, and as we both know, imitation is the best form of flattery, so I expect to be imitated numerous times over the next 12 to 24 months. Yes, there is a direct connection, or there can be a direct connection, between what we know as competition food and food entertainment. And that's what we provided this past weekend. We did the individual categories the way most competitions are done. We came to a chili champion the way most chili competitions are done. We did that through barbecue. We did that through burger, sandwich, and so on and so forth. We had to create some methodologies for side dish and recipe and chef. But we went through the categories as you would a competition, and then we created the show, which was the final table. So we combined what we know best in competition with what we know best in entertainment, or what we call edutainment. When you're educating and entertaining people at the same time on what makes great food. So we found a process and a methodology to do that, and we had a lot of fun. In the meantime, I think the laughter, the applause, the Phil Donahue effect of Adam Richmond walking through our crowd, and then asking the judges why they were going to kill or eliminate barbecue from the final table instead of burger or sandwich. It was just a magical moment, and I think you're going to see, to your question, I think you're going to see that knocked off, and you're going to see that repeated over and over again. And it may be by us primarily, but I'm sure others are going to try to do it as well.
Mike McLeod joining me here on the show, President and CEO of MMA Creative. MMAcreative.com is their website. Obviously, you made reference to it. You know, you guys are using this event as a barometer to perhaps introduce more of these events in the future. Let me go crazy hypothetical on you just for a second. Could you envision MMA making a World Food Championship series season? So you have almost like poker, I guess. So you have an event over here in the Northeast, you have one down in the South, you have one in the Midwest, and on, all culminating into a world, as you coined the phrase, Super Bowl of food back in Las Vegas every year, where all of these winners from different regions, kind of like the Sam's Club, I guess, and then coming into Las Vegas to have the ultimate food showdown. Is that perhaps a game plan?
I wish you'd get out of my playbook and quit telling everybody what I'm up to.
Yes! Two smart people exist.
Yeah, that is in essence what we're about to unfold. We see a road to the World Food Championships that involves massive food companies like U.S. Foods or Cisco, combined with numerous casinos throughout the nation, combined with great companies like Southern Wine and Spirits. This is going to revolutionize what we see or know or understand as competition food, the sport of competition food right now. We're going to build it up. We're going to create a system that helps companies, massive food, large food companies, develop a game plan. Right now, the thing that existed in KCBS in the very beginning when we came about as their agency of record was the fact that everything was silo-based. If you did something at the Royal, or you did something at Memphis in May, or you did something at Jack Daniels World Invitational, it was pretty much a one-off situation. There wasn't a connected strategy.
Right.
So food companies that are huge, like Kraft or Clorox or P&G, you can't get their attention. You can't bring their prize money to the table or their resources to the table from a marketing standpoint and a prize for standpoint unless you have a national, global strategy. That's the way NASCAR was built. It's the way the World Series of Poker was built. It's the way UFC was built. Over and over, the PBR, et cetera. So no one's done that in food. And that's what we're trying to develop right now. We're trying to put everything in place that makes that happen for all of these great competitors and these judges out there who follow competitors and follow contests. We're just trying to put a strategic marketing thread through all of it so that more money comes into it, more sponsors come into it, the sport gets more accolades, gets more PR, and gets more following, gets more fans, and it just ultimately explodes. That's what we're trying to do.
Mike McLeod joining me here on the show. All right, Mike, 2 questions for you here. You're just a couple days away, maybe 48 hours from All the Weekend's event. And we're going to ask you to look at this kind of 2 ways. Personally, business out of it, just Mike McLeod, man. How do you think this event came off?
Like any first-year event, we got some nicks, we got some bruises, we got some scrapes along the way. You can't invent or create a wheel without a lot of scrapes and bruises along the way. We know we had some, but at the end of the day, when you saw how much money was given to food competitors, when you saw the shows that we produced, when you saw the caliber of competition raised a notch, and when you saw the world of food media turn its attention to what we were doing, it was a huge success. And that's what we were trying to achieve in year one. Financially, it didn't make sense for me to do it. But, if you were going to buy a Quiznos franchise or an Applebee's franchise or a McDonald's franchise, as an investor, you'd have to make a huge investment in the beginning to get it off the ground. And then you'd have to build your building, and then you'd have to fund your operations, and then over a period of years, you would earn your money back.
Right.
So that's the way I looked at it. I was willing to make that investment because I think this is a 5, 10, 20-year platform run that will make sense. It will turn into a financial success over years to come, and it will mean a lot to a lot of different people. So we are calling it a success. We know that we can learn from the learning curve that we experienced. We're not going to say that it was perfect. If anyone on my staff or anyone around me ever said that something I did or something we did was perfect, I'd be the first one to step up and say you're wrong. But we do know how to learn from mistakes here and there, and we know how to improve on it, and that's what we plan on doing for 2013.
Does the winner of this event automatically qualify to go back to 2013 or no?
Absolutely. They'll be exempted in. It's a great question.
All right, exempted in for 2013. Mike, the Kingsford Invitational is coming up this weekend. And, as someone who is, with KCBS, obviously this is a big deal for Kingsford, kind of one of their inaugural invitational events. What are you looking forward to? What are you expecting out of this weekend for that event?
Honestly, Craig, I don't know. Kingsford has been a great partner to KCBS. We work closely with them day in and day out over the last several years as an important partner to barbecue. I don't know what their objectives are with that particular program. We've been so focused on the World Food Championships that I couldn't even look away for a minute to focus on what they were doing. But I hope they have success. I hope that ultimately whatever Kingsford is doing on its own mirrors what we're trying to do for the entire industry and ultimately brings them into what we're doing. I think that makes more strategic sense than companies trying to do stuff on their own. You don't see Chevrolet doing its own NASCAR series. You don't see certain Mercury boats doing its own Bass Pro series.
Right.
So I believe what makes long-term sense for a company like Kingsford and Clorox is to have a title of a world food champion behind its brand, and so we hope that they have success, but we also hope that they fold that into our event, much like what Reese's did this weekend. They had a national potato salad championship built into our event. Tyson had a national chicken wing contest built into our event. So we expect that through companies and efforts like that we'll be able to be the end of the season annual Super Bowl event that serves their purposes, but serves also the industry of competition food.
Mike McLeod joining me here on the show, recapping the World Food Championships, which took place this past weekend in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mike, always appreciate the time. Thanks for coming out today.
Thanks a lot, Greg.
You got it. There he is, Mike McLeod. MMAcreative.com is his website. Throw Dave up there. He's going to be next. It's funny because I thought for a fleeting moment that maybe the World Food Championship was like it's going to be this yearly thing, and for most accounts, I heard that the barbecue people might have been, kicked back, on a different lot somewhere, so they didn't get a lot of the foot traffic that, some of these other people got, like the chili people or the side dish people, the burger people, whatever. And I understand that the barbecue people are bringing a lot more stuff into an event that, the burger person is. They're bringing a grill and some cheese, some sassafras. Barbecue people bring their cookers. Those are big. But it sounds like overall it was a good event, a lot of good exposure, big names for the industry, food industry, not just barbecue industry. So when I saw all of that kind of culminating and listening to Mike talk, I'm like, it seems to me, if it seems to me, I'm sure everybody else thought, that they might look to spawn this off into its own little competition series, like a Sam's Club, like the World Series of Poker, whatever. The question is, what does KCBS think of that? Are you going to think that MMA Creative is going to be spending too much time on their own and not growing their brand? Maybe we need to have KCBS back on and see what's going on there. All right, folks, for years I have talked to you about Fred Bernardo over at TastyLicksBBQ.com. This past weekend they had a huge blowout, Turkey Fest 2012. From all accounts, a raging success yet again. Here's the deal. A lot of people are in areas of the country where they don't have a wide selection of barbecue items to shop for in a traditional store. A Lowe's, a mom-and-pop grill store, or whatever. They live out in the country, so they're forced to go online to do some of their shopping, whether it be for apparel, for accessories, for the actual grill or smoker itself. And the internet can be a scary place, my friends. Maybe you didn't know there's a lot of porno out there. Type in grill, I actually did girl, who knows what happens. I wouldn't. Get that fear out of your mind right now. You're dealing with reputable people. And not only are they reputable, not only are they very knowledgeable about everything they sell in the store, the best thing is they inventory, it's in stock, whatever's on the website, it's ready to ship to you, it's right in the warehouse, and it ships to you promptly, and it's priced fairly. All things that I look for when I'm looking to endorse a company that sponsors the show. People come up to me all the time, they want to sponsor the show, but it doesn't fit. They don't smack me as being the right ilk for the show, so I decline. But not Fred. He's been doing it for many years prior to sponsoring this show and partnering with this show. And I'm happy to endorse Fred as somebody that I do business with, that I buy from, and that I refer to, not just because he's a partner with the show, but look, I don't want to send somebody online because I got a great price and it's going to take 20 weeks to get the stuff because they don't actually have the wherewithal to buy it for a price that they can make a few bucks on and then pitch it your way. TastyLicksBBQ.com is the place to go to find rubs, sauces, cookbooks, wood chips, chunks, wood discs, cookers and grills and smokers. If they don't have it, you don't need it. And again, they have product knowledge that is beyond reproach. So you go to TastyLicksBBQ.com, you order whatever you want. It's in the inventory. It ships you promptly. And then if you need help after the sale, you give them a phone call. Talk to Fred. You talk to one of the other knowledgeable salespeople out there. You're off and running. Let's chase down Dave Bosca, talk about the World Food Championships, and then the winners of free butchers for a year. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Get in the smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
We are back, 37 past. Hate it when the phone rings. Thanks again to Mike McLeod for joining me last segment talking about the World Food Championships. My final guest tonight has been having a great year. I just spent the weekend off at the World Food Championships and won the barbecue portion of it. Came in fourth overall at the final table. He also manufactures and sells the most popular brand of injections on the market, nay, the world. Let's race over to the hotline and grab Pitmaster of Butcher Barbecue, Dave Bosca, joining me here on the show. Dave, how are you, buddy?
Hey, we're doing good, sir. Doing good.
I appreciate you making time for the show, Dave. I know it's been a busy weekend. Probably a lot of travel involved with that as well. It's your choice where you want to start tonight. Do we want to recap World Food, or do you want to announce the three winners of free butchers for a year?
Let's take care of business first.
All right, business first. So what does that mean exactly?
Let's announce some winners, and then we can have some fun talking and telling them my stories.
All right, so here we go. We'll do World Food Championships here in just a second. This is the moment everybody has been waiting for. We'll drum roll for all three. What are we giving away first, Mike? Dave, sorry. Jeez.
The beef injection.
Butcher's Barbecue beef injection for a year. The name of lucky winner is?
From Baldwin, Missouri, John Colina.
John Colina. All right. So he doesn't have to worry.
And I'll contact each one of them individually. I've got emails and everything, but that's who the beef injection winner is.
John Colina wins. And this is for a year, right, Dave? We're not messing around here.
That is correct.
1 year.
Correct.
All right. Absolutely fabulous. What are we giving away next?
Let's jump over to the pork injection.
Butcher's Barbecue pork injection for a year. Name of the winner, Dave.
Dale Miller, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Dale Miller, Raleigh, North Carolina. All right. And that only leaves the Butcher's Barbecue Premium Injection. And that thing is like a prime injection. Sorry, prime injection. It's selling like hotcakes, right, Dave?
Yes, sir.
Of course it is. And the winner of the prime is?
Terry Joplin, Freeport, Texas.
Terry Joplin. Freeport, Texas.
Yep.
Wow. Now, that's probably going to be extra special for him because, obviously, as we both well know, Dave, Texas known for the beef and the brisket portion of barbecue, yes?
Yep.
All right. So Jerry's going to be very happy with that. So let's briefly recap. There was the beef injection, the pork injection, and the prime injection. All three of these people are getting their respective products free for a year.
Yes.
Now, look, Dave, you're a frugal businessman. You're wildly successful. What possibly possessed you to do a free injections for each product for a year? That's one of the fabulous things I've ever heard on the face of the earth.
I just decided to do a promotion that will help them, help me. It just helps get the product out there, and I think the best way is just that. You can't get much better than free.
I always find free beer to be the best tasting. I always find free bourbon to be the best tasting, and I always find free Butcher's Barbecue, whether it be the injections or the rubs or the sauces, to be the best. Obviously, I'm more than happy to pay for them, of course, but if I get them for free, I'm taking them all day long and twice on Sunday. All right, so I appreciate you announcing those here on the show. I'm sorry we missed last week. That kind of took a little of the steam away, but when you don't have any power and you're relegated to the internet, here's where we are. So any other promotions that we want to mention here that might be coming up or that are in the works of Butcher Barbecue that we can scoop tonight?
There's works in the works. So we'll just say that I've got several new items we are testing right now. Going with it's not going to be a brisket item, let's put it that way, but we are definitely testing items starting this weekend, doing some cooking with it. We've been playing with them in a couple of our last contests. So it's something that we've been dealing or working with for about 2 months myself. I will do some scientific actual stuff. I'll be doing lots of weights and measurements on scales, seeing how things hold their product, how it can leach out, how it retain moisture. Got 2 different formulas we're working on. I'm trying to see which one will work the best for the general, and then we'll start adding different flavors to this. But I'm working on the base mix right now.
All right, so shrouded in secrecy, but building the sense of urgency like nobody can do. Dave Bosca from Butcher Barbecue. All right, so we transition away from people winning a bunch of free stuff, and we look to kind of recap the weekend that was spent in Las Vegas. I just had Mike McLeod on, who was kind of the brainchild behind this whole World Food Championship deal. Dave, we've talked a number of times before intimately about KCBS and Sam's Clubs and a lot of these other events. When you see something like a World Food Championship, and I did ask Mike about it specifically, if a master plan was to put a number of these World Food Championship, let's call them qualifiers, around the country during the course of the year, and then have it culminating into what took place this past weekend. Obviously, you need that first event to kind of gauge, is it a plan that can work? Is it something that's sustainable? And he thought it was. Any surprise to you that that's kind of where the mastery plan was in that regard?
No, I don't think there's any surprise at all in it. He and his group have been in working with KCBS for several years, so they understand, I think, a lot of what barbecuing competition is. I think they learned a lot themselves this last weekend dealing with the other categories that went into this culinary cook-off. From talking to the folks that was helping them and assisting them, the barbecue pretty well took care of itself. We had our regimented way of doing things. KCBS ran that. From what I understand, the chili world pretty well took care of itself too. And I think the other ones, the competitors, all the way down to the way it was going to be turned in, was a scare, a frantic, because those guys have never done anything quite like this, let alone weekly like what we do. So from what I understand, it was pretty hectic on their part. As a competitor, you're going to have folks that like it. You're going to have folks that will do nothing but cuss what happened. From the time we pulled in till the time we pulled out, I think it was ran very good. I'm not saying that because they gave me a check at the end of the day. I'm saying that because it was. We've been to contests that are only 25 teams and have been working for 10 years and was a lot less organized than these group of people out there that's dealing with hundreds. I don't think there's probably 1,000 competitors, but there's hundreds of competitors. And I know they had to jump and do hurdles that they didn't even know was going to be a hurdle till they got to Vegas. So I think it was really good. And then when it comes to the final 7, they worked head over heels to get what was needed for us at every time we needed something. There was no problems with that whatsoever. 11 o'clock, the night before the final table, we're having a cooks meeting at 11 o'clock. They're up late just like we are. They were struggling. They were running around doing everything that they thought needed to be done for that final. They were up all night long a few nights prior before we ever got there. So I really think it went off real good. I hope that they're happy with it. I know that a lot of people were. I've heard of a few people that needed things that they didn't get. But I think those are just little things, not the big picture.
I'd heard from some people that said that, the barbecue people were kind of put away, farther away from, the strip or from a bigger milling general public than some of the other categories were. Did you find that to be the case? And is that big of a deal for you guys that, typically if you're within an event, at least a lot of barbecue competitions, the KCBS portion is segregated. There's not a lot of foot traffic there anyway.
Well, okay, let's be real about this. We've done that to ourselves. We have. We're the ones who roll into these big coaches and these big trailers where you can't put us on a sidewalk.
Right.
We're the ones who's requiring 40-foot-long spaces each. So don't be blaming MMA for that. Don't be blaming any organizer for that, not just MMA. We're the one who wants to do everything in secrecy behind closed doors. We don't want to show anybody what we do. So how can the public look at that and say, well, I was a part of that? Well, we've built that to ourselves. So I think if barbecuers, and I'm one of us, if we're out there complaining about we were on the back lot, well, by God, we did that to ourselves. So don't be complaining to the organizers for that.
Is there a possibility that if, God, and this would be changing behavior like nobody's business, but if there was more of an openness, if there was less people in the coaches and in the motorhomes and trailers doing all this prep work and was bringing it out to the public, do you think that would possibly make the sport a little bit more popular and a little bit more approachable than it is right now?
Would it be more approachable? Well, I think absolutely. Yeah, I think it would be. Will it ever happen? God, I hope not. I kind of like keeping my secrets just like the next old boy. But I'm not saying it's not the right thing to do. If you get to the point to where, like we did there at the finales, we were outside. I asked them for a table to put outside. They said, well, we'll come inside and film. And I was like, no, let's go outside. I said, I'm a realist here. We got to pay the bills for y'all. Let's let the public see what's going on. So we was trying to do as much work as we could outside once we were in the lot and everything was set up and rolling. So I feel like that was the right thing to do.
Dave Bosca from Butcher Barbecue joining me here on the show. ButcherBBQ.com is the website to go check him out, obviously, buy any of the products that they're offering out there. You win the barbecue portion of that. As you said, you get a nice little check for that. A lot of great teams that were invited and got, take part in that. Pretty satisfied with the win over that caliber of field?
I was asked this the other night, and I'll tell you what, I am honored to have been able to go up against guys that I call great, great cooks. I got to put my food up against them. I got to put my food up against folks from around the United States that I don't normally get to. We came up victorious. Next weekend it could be completely different. But that day, the judges judged ours as the best. Okay, great. I'm excited. I'm happy. I feel like I did what I would love to have done. I competed against the best. We won. Now, after that, we went against the other 6 culinary flavors out there.
Yeah.
That's just icing on the cake. But where I like to have been judged was just exactly where I was judged, against the guys that I know, the ones I compete against. We go knuckles to knuckles every weekend, or once a year whenever we do all get to meet at a big place. That was my win right there. After that, like I said, the rest of it was just icing on the cake.
You win big barbecue competitions, obviously like this one, at least for the barbecue portion. You finished very well in the overall table as well. You're continuing to have a great year. Team of the year isn't going to happen, but, a lot of wins, some really big events. Will 2012 go down as the best barbecue year yet for Butcher's Barbecue, both as a competition team and as a business?
As a business, yes. As a team, we were 3rd last year at the end of the year for Team of the Year. But this year I got to scratch off some bucket lists for me. One of them was qualifying for the Jack automatically. Didn't get to do that last year. We did this year. So, wow, I got to scratch that off my bucket list. So all in all, I won more grands this year than I did last year. We didn't end as high. But man, it's hard to compare year to year because you do different things. But this year there was a lot of good things that did happen this year. So I think if I had to pick one of the two, yeah, I'd say this year was probably a better year for me.
All right, Dave, let me ask you this question, and this is going to be me asking your opinion looking at a couple different teams here. You know, I had Dan Hickson from 3 Eyes on a little bit earlier. I did speak with Rob McGee a little earlier this morning via email. So we're looking at it this way for Team of the Year. Pigskin Barbecue is effectively out of the race, and that was right from Scott Nelson's mouth when I talked to him on the phone this morning. 3 Eyes is cooking their eyeballs out right now. Munchin' Hogs has really caught fire as of late, and of course is the current KCBS Team of the Year, so they know how to close when given the chance. How do you see this race finishing off for 2012?
Close.
Guess what? It's already close.
Are you asking me who I think might win it?
Correct, yes.
Okay. 3 Eyes is a great team, and dude, that they've been on a roll.
Oh, yes.
Rob McGee and Munchin' Hogs at the Hilton, it's a great team, and they are rolling. There's some things that Rob done this year a lot of folks don't know, and I was talking with him about the middle of the summer, and someone in that area had said something. Rob, sorry you're not doing that good this year. He said you'll get it back this next year. Rob looked at him. He says, "Man, I'm 15th in the nation." He said, "There's 5,000 teams. What am I doing wrong?" He said, "Hell, I thought I was doing pretty good." You know, the perception of good versus bad. Rob, as good and many times as he's won Team of the Year, 15th in the Team of the Year, he still thinks he's doing wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's kudos to him. But what folks don't realize, the first half of the year, he went to a contest in 4 categories. At that contest, he changed his recipes. He played around. He was tinkering with stuff. The next contest, he did a whole new setup. He was tinkering around for again. And he spent the first half of this year when we were already getting hard and knuckles on the ground and dragging, he was just playing. He decided in the middle of the summer he better get busy because, well, his reasons, but let's be real, the wife needed some money to help add on to their house, okay?
Right.
And he said, well, I better get busy. And now he just stepped right on in, and he's caught right up with everybody. If he would have been doing that all year, we'd have probably all been chasing for second place and didn't even know it. I've got strong respect for Rob and the guys at 3 Eyes, but Rob is a guy that we cook against quite a bit through the year, and I know what he can turn on and turn off, and if he decides to turn it on, we're all in trouble.
There you go. Dave Bosca joining me here on the show. ButcherBBQ.com is the website. And again, Dave, thanks for coming on to announce the 3 winners of the beef, the pork, and the prime injection. That was very fun to do. And, maybe we can do that again sometime or whatever. My door's always open when you got promotions or whenever you want to come on. I always appreciate the time and the candor you give to the show, and we'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate your time, sir. And I just want to say real quick to everybody out there, we are doing a class. I've got just a few spots left in Southern California. If you're interested, go to my website and let's get it filled up. We're about to get done. So finish it up if you want to, and let's finish out the year with a good class, okay?
All right, Dave, be safe.
Thank you, sir.
There he is, Dave Bosca, ButcherBBQ.com. Is he one of the best guys to talk barbecue with? I think so. Love that guy. Telling it like it is, like nobody's business. Dave Bosca, Butcher Barbecue. Hey, that sounded good. Man, it's a tough one. All right, instant chat. Here you go. Who's winning Team of the Year this year? Is it going to be 3 Eyes? Is it going to be Munchin' Hogs? You weigh in now. I'm staying out of this one. Let me get out of the newsroom. Woo, we're back. No, not Rob Marion. Rob McGee, Munchin' Hogs. Oh, come on, Fred. You're being funny. So thanks to Dave. And again, congratulations to John Colliner for the beef injection, Dale Miller from Raleigh, North Carolina for the pork injection, and Jerry Joplin from Freeport, Texas for the prime injection. For a year. A year? I'll take it for a year. Damn Skippy. Don't forget, I had mentioned last week. Don't forget, coming up next week, we're looking for the Kingsford Invitational Open winner. Also, Meathead will join us in the first hour. We'll probably be talking about, we were supposed to talk about that Cook Air. Remember the Cook Air cooker that he mentioned last month? We'll probably talk about that. Also, we might be finally talking about what is smoke. You know, Meathead's got researchers on retainers, scientists on retainers. He's got retainers on retainers. Retainer nightmare. Retainer all over. All right, let's wrap it up. Very first hour, all the way back at 9:14, Dan Hickson from Three Eyes Barbecue came on, recapped his reserve at the Hog Happenin in Raleigh, North Carolina. Also, his views on what the rest of the Team of the Year looks like. Also on some cooking classes. You got the school, the Q School with Swamp Boys. SwampBoys.com if you want to sign up for that. Also be on Three Eyes Barbecue at some point soon. Then Derek Riches, bbq.about.com, talking about the Jack, talking about the American Royal, prestige between one and the other, his thoughts on walking the Jack this year, being there as a media member and a tourist, if you will. And then in the second hour, Mike McLeod, MMA Creative, talking about the World Food Championships, his plans to expand that over time, making it its own little series, separate from what he's doing. And then closing out, Dave Bosco Butcher Barbecue. Great show. Appreciate each and every one of my guests. And, of course, the listeners. If you have raw cast iron, season it each and every time. Ham, cooking oil, whatever. Also, September 11th, 2001, I will never forget. Until next Tuesday, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.